Uncle Henry Show. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM, 99.5 FM The Jag. Angelo here from Mobile Bay Coins, 2204 Government Street. I'm going to be at Mobile Bay Coins later this morning from 9 to 10 for a live episode of Ask the Expert. During the news break, Angela and I were talking about the plane crash, the military plane crash in Mississippi. 16 people killed in this plane crash. With you, Angelo, I don't have any answers to the questions that Angelo has. Angelo's questions about the plane crash are why are military aircraft so old?
Right. I mean, this plane is, it's a historic plane. It's well known. They use that plane heavily in Vietnam. The C-130 is the plane we're talking about. And while we were on the break there, I looked it up because it's like this plane's been around for a long time. Vietnam was a long time ago. They said the first flight for that plane as military aircraft was in 1954. 1954, that's a long time ago. And I understand that it's a good, solid plane, but for goodness sakes, if that was a human, it would be about ready for retirement right now.
Yeah, I really don't know a lot about the whole airline industry, aircraft, military aircraft. I did look at average ages of commercial vehicles when you brought the question up, and I saw that most commercial planes are less than 20 years old, and most of them are even less than that.
And that makes sense. I know that there's a lot of stuff going on here in Mobile where planes are being rebuilt, reconditioned, and in many instances they're taking those commercial passenger planes and then converting those into cargo planes because a little safer. They don't have to, obviously you're not carrying a bunch of passengers on there, so you don't want to have an old plane out there carrying passengers, but yet our troops are out there in a plane that is 3 times as old as the average age of a commercial airline. That's not good.
Well, and I'm sure that a lot of this is specific to the way things are purchased for the military.
Probably so. Probably a lot of overinflated pricing and things like that going on with all of that. And that's where I get irked when the Congress talks about taking their August recess and things like this. For goodness sakes, fix some of our problems. Fix our issues with healthcare, fix our issues with the budget, start figuring out how to make things a little more efficient, a little more streamlined up there, and not have 60-year-old planes in our military's fleet. That's just not, obviously it's not safe.
Well, we wonder why we can't get anything done.
Right.
With just about almost, is there any issue we're satisfied with?
At this point, no. No, not when it comes to what our government is or is not doing. I mean, I've been on C-130s before. I've jumped out of those, and it's an old plane. It's a great plane, but at the same time, it's old. Come on.
Aren't you ready? You're ready to jump out of another plane, aren't you?
Getting close. Getting
All
close.
Right. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s and more. Uncle Henry Show on the way.
Time saver traffic from the Dean McCrary Porsche Traffic Center.
Spotty rain continues to move through the Gulf Coast area this morning. Most of it remains out over the open Gulf waters, but there have been some cells moving on shore, so you're going to have that to contend with through at least part of the area. The good news is we don't have any particularly big problems on the board right now. A drive on I-10 crossing the Bayway from the eastern shore to the Wallace Tunnel still moving along very well. With time saver traffic, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is brought to you by LifeLock. It's morning. Here's an eye-opener. LifeLock can see more threats to your identity than you can see if you're just monitoring your credit. And if something happens, a U.S.-based specialist can work to fix it. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK to save 10%.
Now, Gulf Coast weather from Local 15.
Good Tuesday to you, everybody. We've got about a 50-50 shot of scattered showers and storms for this Tuesday. We'll top out at 90 degrees. Grab the umbrella. We are going to have quite a bit of humidity out there. It's going to make that temperature feel warmer. Overnight lows in the mid-70s and a 40% chance of storms as we head into Wednesday through Friday. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News and this iHeartRadio station.
This report is brought to you by the T.J. Martell Foundation.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Church, asking you to join me in the fight against leukemia, cancer, and AIDS through the TJ Martell Foundation. Your support helps facilitate cutting-edge research that will lead to more effective treatments and save more lives. Visit tjmartell.org to learn about music's promise for a cure.
Roll Tide. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show, thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. Angela of Mobile Bay Coins asking the important questions. I'll be at Mobile Bay Coins later today from 9 to 10. When I was looking at all the different news items, I saw the new commercial for Mo Brooks, who is running for the Senate. And I this is really bad for me to admit this, but I have trouble watching or listening to complete campaign commercials at this juncture. After the last presidential election,
right,
my patience for even for candidates that I have no problem with, I still have trouble sticking with their ads.
Sure. I get that.
So I had not heard about Mo Brooks' Build the Wall commercial until I saw the news story on it. You had heard the commercial, obviously, or heard people talking about it. The fact that Mo Brooks is saying that he would like to build the wall, and he will go into the Senate and filibuster and read the King James Version of the Bible until the wall is built. Let's listen to a brief excerpt. This is from the Mo Brooks commercial where he talks about the King James Version of the Bible.
Every spending bill that doesn't fund that wall. And if I have to filibuster on the Senate floor, I'll even read the King James Bible until the wall is funded.
All right.
I'm sorry, Uncle Henry. All I'm thinking right now when I'm listening to that weird music playing in the background, why wasn't he playing Pink Floyd The Wall?
Well, now, wait a minute.
As a backdrop for
now,
that.
I didn't want to play this again, but now I need to hear the music. All right, stand by. Listener, I apologize. Because I was thinking about the King James Version of the Bible.
Right.
And how this is obviously an attempt to peel away some Roy Moore support.
Oh, it certainly is.
Let me listen to the music now.
And if I have to filibuster on the Senate floor, I'll even read the King James Bible until the wall is funded.
Another brick
and you
in the
know
wall.
what?
All right, look, I think I like that music better than the Luther Strange "We've Just Come Out of the Woods" music.
Right, that was a little creepy.
That were playing the whatever was before the banjo, the primitive banjo music. But this that music is better, but still, King. I will read. There's
not just the Bible, the King James
Version. Very specific. Very specific. That is a specific. I guess he's researched who's supporting Roy Moore, because all the polls are showing that Roy Moore is right now number one, somewhere near 30%.
Now, should he have gotten even more specific, Uncle Henry, and said, I'm gonna start with the Old Testament. I'm gonna start with New Testament.
Should he have picked a book?
Right.
Maybe a book of the Bible. That's a good question. What book would most Roy Moore supporters want him to read? That's a great question. But that must be it. They must have done some research and tried to figure out who they've created a profile of who loves Roy Moore, and they're trying to appeal to what they would like to see done. I want, and this may work. This may get him into the runoff.
There you go. Yeah, it's okay. Conservative Christian, check. Now, how do we draw them away?
Now, so the question is, if he were to make it into a runoff against Roy Moore, once he's in against Roy Moore, does he then try to distance himself?
Now, see, I think they need to have a little preach-off or something. Have a little contest.
That
here.
may not. No,
that would be entertaining. Uncle Henry, that would be great. I would watch that.
Well, Roy Moore is right now 30%.
Right.
That means there are many other percentages of people that are not for him.
True.
So then he may want to.
What, put on a different hat?
Maybe that's when you break out the Pink Floyd music that
there
we're talking about. All right. Well, it is intriguing.
They stream across our borders illegally. Criminals, including gang members, rapists, even murderers, committing crime.
All right, we're here on Facebook. Is there anything you want to show us on Facebook, Angela of Mobile Bay Coins? Oh, okay. Well, there are holes in the knife. Why are there holes in the knife?
That is a military-style dive knife. And one of the things that's interesting about it, if you pull that out, it feels fairly lightweight. It's not quite as beefy and heavy.
You're right. It's very lightweight.
And do you know why that is?
Well, you don't want it to sink if you drop it.
Well, it's still going to sink. It's made out of metal, but it's made out of titanium because it's non-magnetic. So if you were a Navy diver, for example, and you had to deal with mines, floating mines, things like that, you don't want anything magnetic on your person because a lot of times that will set off the mine. Or if you're dealing with, mine warfare in Afghanistan or someplace like that, and you're trying to probe for a mine, you have to use something that is non-magnetic so you don't set the darn thing off.
How does the physics work? Does this knife sink at the same rate as a heavier knife in the water?
A knife that's going to be denser is going to, well, a lot of it's going to depend on how it's going through the water too, because the water is going to provide a huge amount of resistance. If you drop that straight down, blade down, it's going to drop pretty quickly. If you drop that in the flat there, it's going to try to float a little more slow, or drop a little more slowly, not
now
float.
solve an argument for me, because this knife has on it Magnum Titan,
right?
But then it's either Submariner or Submariner.
I would call it a Submariner.
Submariner. Okay. Not Submariner.
No.
Submariner.
So was that the argument?
Many people have argued there's a Marvel comic book character called the Submariner.
Right.
But the Hulk would call him the Submariner.
Really?
So yes, so
you're much more knowledgeable about the Hulk and the Submariner or Submariner. But I guess if you're on a submarine, you're a submariner.
All right, so this is designed.
That's the Submariner.
This is designed for use in the water.
Correct.
So you don't set off a mine.
Yeah, because setting one off would be bad.
All right.
Didn't know we were going to talk about mine warfare today, did you?
No. Now that knife, was that on your dresser today?
It was somewhere in the bedroom.
It was in the bedroom. Okay. Have you ever cut anything with it?
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Yes. I mean, nothing extensive, probably open envelopes or cut open a package, but I've carried that around in my person before.
Now, you've mentioned you have between 300 and 400 knives, or between 400 and 500 knives?
I think 300 to 400.
So between 300 to 400 knives, have you used all of them to cut something?
No, sir.
Some of them have never been used to cut something.
That is correct. Some of those are strictly from the collectible side of things. Others I use, some I carry every day. So it just depends on the knife. I can't carry every knife every day. It'd weigh me down a little bit.
Well, yes, that would.
And I'd look a little strange clanking into the shop there.
Would you sink faster?
I'd sink pretty darn fast if I had all my knives on me.
Okay, so that's how that would work. All right, if you're interested in knives are available at Mobile Bay Coins,
yes,
of course, 2204 Government Street, the Open L knives. But other knives are there as well, and then there's a big, giant catalog that you can go through of knives at Mobile Bay Coins. All right, we're going to go back to radio here in about 1 minute, so stick with us.
But there have been some cells moving on shore, so you're going to have that to contend with through at least part of the area. The good news is we don't have any particularly big problems on the board right now. A drive on I-10 crossing the Bayway from the eastern shore to the Wallace Tunnel still moving along very well. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is brought to you by Unbound. There's a girl in El Salvador who dreams of becoming an engineer. There's an elder in Uganda who dreams of having a community to call his own. No two dreams are the same. Help one person achieve theirs at unbound.org.
Gulf Coast weather from Local 15 and the Kemco Metal Buildings Weather Center.
Good Tuesday to you, everybody. It's going to be a sticky and stormy day along the Gulf Coast. Our coverage will be at about 50%. Our afternoon high will reach 90. When we tack on the humidity, it's going to feel like we're in the upper 90s. So take it easy. Stay well hydrated. Check on those outdoor pets. Overnight lows will drop into the 70s. And Wednesday through Friday, we'll have a 40% chance of wet weather. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News in this iHeartRadio station.
Your home for traffic and weather on the 9s every morning. This is News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show, thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710, WNTM, 99.5 FM, The Jag. We have news headlines coming from Fox and from Darwin of Local 15. That's coming up in about 10 minutes here on the Uncle Henry Show. And earlier in the hour, Angela was questioning the age. We have the military plane crash in Mississippi, and I see Donald Trump just tweeted.
Uh-oh.
I'll have to go to that in a moment. But we were talking about the age, not sure about the age of the plane that crashed. We've been emailed on this. Subject line on the email is plane. Email reads, are we sure when this particular plane was built? We still use the U-2, which is just as old. And that email from 60-year-old Chris in West Loxley. I'm not familiar with the planes or when they were built.
Well, and again, he makes a good point. Just because that first one was made and flew, in 1954, doesn't mean that every single one of them was made. They're still making those. Lots of countries around the world actually use the C-130.
Speaking of the plane crash, that's what the president just tweeted about.
Oh, no.
President Trump just tweeted, Marine plane crash in Mississippi is heartbreaking. Melania and I send our deepest condolences to all.
Good for him.
So that is the latest tweet from President Trump. He also tweeted about 30 minutes ago saying, working hard to get the Olympics for the United States, L.A. Stayed tuned.
That would be good. Well, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that one, Uncle Henry.
Well, and that's one that if he were able to pull off would be a major get, because we've been led to believe that the world is just astonished and shocked and fearful because we've elected Donald Trump in this country. So for him to score the Olympics would be major.
But at the same time, have you read some of the articles and reports about how much that affected Brazil in a negative way after the Olympics? It's pretty amazing, some of the things that you read up on, how much it cost them as a country and how much it actually hurt their economy.
Right. Yeah, I have seen some of those things. I know that it doesn't work. Some countries, it works better than in other countries.
Right. I'm just thinking, though, if we're going to have it here and if it's going to be painful, California is a great place to have it. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be that sarcastic, but... So.
Well, maybe they may have a chance of getting it as a separate country.
There
Since
you go.
They want to be their own country, maybe that's one way they can pursue getting the Olympics is by claiming to be their own country. Email address unclehenry@gmail.com. That's unclehenry@gmail.com. As a major fan of football, a major fan of college football, I also watch NFL football. I like to see what the Saints are up to, of course. I saw the story out that Viagra and Cialis have dropped out of the NFL. So if you still watch NFL games, I know last season a lot of people got upset with the NFL and stopped watching some of those games. If you still watch the NFL, no more Viagra commercials, no more Cialis commercials. Now, I read about it from Advertising Age, and they're saying that those drugs are about to become generic, available also as generics. And so the drug company doesn't want to spend a lot of money on the brand names anymore. So that's going to stop. The NFL is going to lose out on about $50 million.
And right there, Uncle Henry, that's what bothers me with this conversation. I understand where you're coming from, not wanting to see those commercials.
I don't want to see Viagra commercials on the NFL.
And I agree with you there, but even more than that, Uncle Henry, I don't want to see any of these drug commercials, period. I go to the doctor, and I want the doctor to tell me what's wrong with me and what he is going to prescribe to fix my problems. I don't want to expect to go to the doctor and say, I think I need this pill and this pill and this pill because I've been watching TV, and TV tells me I should have that. I don't think those pharmaceutical companies should be spending $50 million with the NFL.
Work.
Well, it's working.
It must work.
But that's also why we're paying so darn much money for all this stuff.
Now, we mentioned that the NFL will no longer have Viagra. They're no longer going to have Cialis. I think I remember correctly that for the first time, maybe ever, they're going to allow hard liquor commercials on the NFL. They have had the beer commercials,
right?
But they haven't done hard liquor ads.
You know, I've never noticed that.
But now they are going to allow. They need to get back some of the Viagra money. So now, and I'm curious because we all know that the beer commercials feature people that are in their 20s or 30s that look like they look like Olympic athletes.
And they're drinking beer.
They show them out playing kickball with each other or running a marathon, playing volleyball, grilling out with the family, and then they drink beer. What are they going to show the hard liquor people doing? Are they also going to be like in a triathlon?
So from Viagra to hard liquor.
Exactly. They're going
Interesting.
to have,
At least they're keeping with the theme.
I guess so. I'm very curious as to what activities they've shown us that beer drinkers all look like they could play in the NFL.
Right.
What do the hard liquor drinkers going to be the same? Are they all going to be chiseled?
Or are they going to try to steal some of the Viagra customers by showing old people in the hot tub drinking a cocktail?
We'll all find out. Those of us that decide to tune in. All right, news from Fox News from Local 15's Darwin. That's coming up next, followed by the Daily Reagan.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stock index futures are a little changed to lower this morning as crude oil declines. S&P futures are down 2 points. Dow futures are down 14. NASDAQ futures are down 7. NYMEX crude is lower by 1% at $43.93 a barrel. For investors, there's only one mid-year market outlook that matters this week, Janet Yellen's testimony at Congress. And it's not the Fed chair's thoughts on the prospect for inflation or labor market tightness they'll be interested in the most. Instead, strategists will focus on any sign that the Fed is determined to step into a fight against inflation in financial assets. The one place inflation seems to be rising the fastest. Farms in the upper Midwest have been plagued by drought this year, and the impact on grain production may become clearer when the Department of Agriculture releases its monthly crop report tomorrow. Analysts surveyed by Bloomberg forecast spring wheat production will fall to a 15-year low. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Don't do what I did and run out. If it's working, don't quit. Why would you stop? Why undo all the good that's been accomplished?
You've got to feed them right for life.
Dynovite is nutrition.
If I ever took Roy off of Dynovite.
No.
When I get to about 3/4.
When I get down to the bottom of my box of Dynovite. Oh no, I've got a couple more scoops. It's time to place my order. Dynovite.com. DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite for your dog this week.
We'll send you a bottle of LicoChaps free.
New improved LicoChaps with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E,
and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials.
Even better for the digestive tract and immune system.
Try LicoChaps.
Free this week at Dynovite.com.
Just feed your dog right. Use Dynovite.
Dynovite for life.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Dean McCrary Mazda Traffic Center.
A drive for a lot of you is a little bit wet this morning as we still have some isolated thunderstorms that are moving through the area. But the good news is most drivers today seem to have handled it pretty well. We don't have any particularly big accidents on the board. Scattering of relatively minor crashes has kind of been the rule of the morning, but nothing causing any major problems at the present time. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Ray Romero.
Now, Gulf Coast weather from Local 15.
We are turning up this torrential potential on this Tuesday to about 50%. Grab the umbrella, dress light. High temp today, 90 degrees. When you tack on the humidity, it's going to feel like we're in the upper 90s. Stray showers overnight, and Wednesday brings a 40% chance of storms. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News and this iHeartRadio station.
A deadly military plane crash in Mississippi. I'm Local 15's Darwin Singleton with this iHeartRadio News Update. 16 people have died in a Marine Corps plane crash in rural Mississippi. Leflore County Emergency Management officials report 16 bodies were recovered after the KC-130 refueling tanker spiraled into the ground, crashing into a soybean field near Jackson, Mississippi. The Marine Corps says it's one of their planes, but it hasn't said where the flight began or where it was going. Well, they left the club together, but now he's being charged with a violent sexual assault. Baldwin County deputies say 26-year-old James Earl Pruitt of Bay Minette choked, bit, and raped an alleged victim. It was someone deputies say Pruitt already knew. Deputies also say Pruitt, who has a record of 11 previous arrests, initially denied any kind of sexual interaction with the victim, but later changed his story and claimed it was consensual. He's being held in the Baldwin County Jail under a $25,000 bond. Members of the Gulf Shores High School football team hoping the school will soon land a new head coach. This after former head coach Rick Cawley resigned after just 3 months on the job. Cawley is now the new assistant football coach at Satsuma High School. He said leaving Gulf Shores is what's best for him and his family. Meanwhile, Gulf Shores principal says he could make a decision on a new head coach by next week. News breaks while you sleep, so when you wake, we'll catch you up on what's happening along the Gulf Coast and around the world every weekday morning on Local 15 Today. We start at 5 a.m. I'm Local 15's Darwin Singleton for this iHeartRadio station.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The president on Twitter this morning lashing out at Senate Democrats, saying they've only confirmed 48 of his 197 nominees. Meanwhile, an attorney defending his oldest son over a meeting with a Russian attorney.
The Times report alleges that Donald Trump Jr. was informed in an email that potentially damaging information about Hillary Clinton was being offered as part of a Russian government effort to help his father win the White House.
Fox Radio's Rachel Sutherland.
Mark Warner is ranking Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee.
That they constantly recant and change their stories is, I think, very troubling.
Donald Trump Jr.'s lawyer says the meeting with a Russian attorney lasted about 20 to 30 minutes and nothing came of it.
And the vice president and his wife among those sending condolences after a deadly crash of a military plane into a Mississippi soybean field, killing at least 16. The cause of the crash is under investigation. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Mercedes-Benz is a car like no other. We're offering leasing specials to fit any budget, only at Mercedes-Benz and Mobile. If you thought you couldn't afford a Mercedes, think again. Mercedes-Benz and Mobile has your lifestyle and budget in mind. Come and visit our showroom on Dolphin Street or go to mbmobile.com for details. When I say affordable, I really mean it. Only at Mercedes-Benz and Mobile.
I'm talking with Jim Bird of Safe Harbor Financial Services, LLC in Daphne, about the most common mistakes retirees make with their money. Jim?
Another financial mistake, Laurie, is not protecting yourself and your nest egg from significant market drops. If you take your age and subtract it from 100, Laurie, that's the amount of money it should be in safe money. But in this environment, safe money can't be CDs, savings accounts, or money market accounts. You've got to find somebody that can think outside the box, and I can. If you'll call me, I will give you some examples. Call me. I'm Jim Bird. I have over 30 years experience. Let me show you how to keep your money safe and keep more of your money.
Stay tuned for more from Jim Bird of Safe Harbor Financial Services in Daphne. Call now for your complimentary consultation. 625-1226. 625-1226. Safe Harbor Financial Services, LLC in Daphne. 625-1226. Ask for Jim Bird.
Teach your kids about the dangers of drug abuse at the new interactive exhibit now at the Gulf Coast Explorium. Drugs, cost, and consequences. See an actual South American jungle cocoa processing lab and a recreated Afghan heroin factory. Plus, artifacts from the Twin Towers and Pentagon connecting the link between drugs and terrorism. Analyze brain scans in a simulated MRI machine to learn the science behind drug addiction. The DEA and the Gulf Coast Explorium present Drugs, Cost, and Consequences. Find out more at explorium.com.
I'm Scott Armstrong with Kimco Metal Buildings. Whether you need a building for commercial, storage, church, or community use, Kimco has been designing and constructing the highest quality steel buildings for our customers for almost 50 years. Kimco will use state-of-the-art software and our many years of experience to help you custom design your new metal building. Check out our website at kimcobuildings.com. That's KEMKO, or call us at 251-626-0594.
Traffic updates every 10 minutes on the 9s every morning. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
News Radio 710 WNTM 99.5 FM The Jag. We've arrived at the Daily Reagan. The Daily Reagan, a presentation of SAD Healthcare, SAAD, sadhealthcare.com.
We who are privileged to be Americans have had a rendezvous with destiny since the moment in 1630 when John Winthrop, standing on the deck of the tiny Arbella off the coast of Massachusetts, told the little band of pilgrims, "We shall be as a city upon a hill. The eyes of all people are upon us, so that if we shall deal falsely with our God in this work we have undertaken, and so cause him to withdraw his present help from us, we shall be made a story and a byword throughout the world." A troubled and afflicted mankind looks to us, pleading for us to keep our rendezvous with destiny, that we will uphold the principles of self-reliance, self-discipline, morality, and above all, responsible liberty for every individual, that we will become that shining city on a hill. For our country's future, I pledge you my every effort. I ask for your prayers and your support. I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
The Daily Reagan, a presentation of SAD Healthcare, SAAD, sadhealthcare.com. Uncle Henry Show. Angelo of Mobile Bay Coins is here. We're going to be at Mobile Bay Coins later this morning from 9 to 10. Live on location, Ask the Expert. Coming up in about 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes, Darwin of Local 15 will check in. We're going to talk to him about what he's been covering. He told us yesterday about he's got a reality check story that he's been showing this morning on Local 15 about, I think a local clergyman or a local pastor was involved in a scam. Yet another scam.
Oh, no.
So he's we may get more updates on what that specific scam is. As long as there are people, there are going to be scams.
Of course.
I think I'm getting better at not believing what I see online.
I would say as long as there's people and as long as there's greed, I think those two things together make it ripe for a situation for somebody to be scammed.
Right. Well, there's going to be greed.
Because either the person scamming or the person being scammed is being greedy, and that's why the scam takes effect.
So we'll get into that with Darwin. Talked about this a lot yesterday. And I'm glad to see that the news is spreading now all over that the Facebook hoax about Jaden K. Smith.
I heard about that. As a matter of fact, I did have one person contact me via Facebook and say, "Don't friend this person." Or
you only
whatever.
Had one?
I only had one. I have a lot of cynical friends.
Okay.
So most of them don't tend to share any of these types of things. But one person that actually listens to the show and may or may not be listening right now, she shared that with me, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that she's looking out for me. But at the same time, yeah, it was a scam.
Well, I have a lot of friends that are very trusting and believe things they see online,
right,
and in social media. And so I had several a day for several days in a row.
Really?
Oh yeah, trying to warn me about Jaden K. Smith, and there was warnings about somebody else too. All of that a hoax, and I'm so glad to see that story is spreading, that it is all a hoax. In fact, let me see. This was a new one that came. No. All right, one man sent me the Jaden K. Smith warning 3 times.
Oh, wow. He just wanted to make sure you knew.
All right, traffic and weather together.
Road closure. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is brought to you by the T.J. Martell Foundation. Join the T.J. Martell Foundation in the fight against leukemia, cancer, and AIDS. Your support helps facilitate cutting-edge research that will lead to more effective treatments and save more lives. Visit tjmartell.org to learn more.
Gulf Coast weather from Local 15 and the Chemco Metal Buildings Weather Center.
Good Tuesday to you, everybody. We've got about a 50-50 shot of scattered showers and storms for this Tuesday. We'll top out at 90 degrees. Grab the umbrella. We are going to have quite a bit of humidity out there. It's going to make that temperature feel warmer. Overnight lows in the mid-70s and a 40% chance of storms as we head into Wednesday through Friday. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News and this iHeartRadio station.
This report is brought to you by Unbound. There's a girl in El Salvador who dreams of becoming an engineer. There's an elder in Uganda who dreams of having a community to call his own. No two dreams are the same.
Help one person achieve theirs at unbound.org.
News? Check. Traffic and weather? Check. Opinions? Check. This is the Uncle Henry Show, only on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show, thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. Darwin is next from Local 15. We'll find out what he's been covering. We've already heard him talking about the flesh-eating bacteria. We'll find out about all of that when we get online with Darwin in just a few moments. Now, Cliff has been on hold. Cliff, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Henry.
Yes.
Okay, Henry, I couldn't find you on the Suit 55.
Right.
And so I turned to Joe and Mika this morning about 4:30. And for 2 or 3 solid hours, they were talking about nothing but that email. That they were safe to say there might be nothing there, but there might be something there. There might not be nothing there, but there's something there. There might not be nothing there, but there's
All right,
something.
so you tuned into, for people that don't know what you're talking about, Joe and Mika on MSNBC. You've been watching MSNBC this morning.
To test my tolerance level.
Okay.
And so everything they're talking about, I heard you guys even mention the birther issue. Everything that Joe and Mika are talking about, the Democratic Party, the left, the previous administration is totally guilty of. They started the birther issue. Hillary Clinton did that when she was running against Obama. She put that out there. And as far as collusion, you could call being caught saying that tell Putin when I get elected the second time, I might have more room to help you out. Might be called collusion.
All right. So the point is that Joe and Mika they're worth watching for several. You watch them for several hours.
Uncle Henry is like getting stitches.
How?
With half the pain medication.
All right. Well, Cliff, thank you for that. So, Cliff, with a report on Joe and Mika, and I appreciate you contributing to the program, do we need to know, though, what Joe and Mika are talking about? Have you ever wondered in your day what Joe and Mika had talked about, Angelo? Because I have, and no offense to Joe and Mika or the fans of Joe and Mika, and I'm sure that many Joe and Mika fans have been watching Joe and Mika, and now they're listening to this show as they're on their way to a job. But I've never wondered what Joe and Mika had talked about.
I honestly didn't have a clue who Joe and Mika were. If you would have told me that was a new Disney movie that was coming out.
Joe and Mika, a Disney movie.
I mean, it sounds like Lilo and Stitch, Joe and Mika. It sounds like a switch off of Lilo and Stitch, like some sort of weird Disney, animated cartoon movie that's going to come out that I'm not going to watch.
Okay.
I did not.
Well, that answers my question.
Yeah, I could care less.
Okay. Well, that is a service that Cliff was providing the show. An update
Thank you, Cliff.
On what MSNBC was talking about.
Now I know what not to watch.
Well, that's I kind of know after seeing the news about the son of Trump email situation. I kind of know what is going to be on MSNBC and what's going to be on CNN, and I know that I can spend time on YouTube watching Johnny Carson or things like that. All right, look, Darwin. We're going to make contact with Darwin. Vocal contact with Darwin of Local 15 next on the Uncle Henry Show.
While they were watching
Obama spying on Americans.
You were listening. Keep on listening.
It's so sick.
Sean Hannity, 2 till 5. News Radio 710, WNTM.
If you want to sell your house, if you need to sell your house, this message is for you. I'm Uncle Henry, here to tell you about Sandy Frost of Roberts Brothers. Sandy Frost has an established track record of getting homes sold. Her listings sell faster than the average agent's listings. She sells 97% of her listings when the average agent doesn't come close to that. And Sandy's listings sell at about 3% more than other agents' listings. And after years of experience, Sandy Frost continues to grow. She's just earned a new professional distinction. After extensive training, she's become an advanced home marketing specialist. That's a designation that only 1% of agents have available in the country, and allows Sandy to implement a proprietary home marketing system to enhance what she already has developed on her own. You can find out more online at sandyfrost.com, or you can call Sandy Frost at 251-604-6514. If you want to get your home sold, call Sandy Frost.
News Radio 710 and the grounds have partnered together to recognize the heroes among us. This month, we're looking to honor the friend or neighbor that always goes above and beyond for others. Nominate your community hero today at newsradio710.com, keyword hero.
Angelo's here from Mobile Bay Coins. Angelo, designer high-end jewelry and Mobile Bay Coins, do those two things go together?
They mix together very, very well, Uncle Henry, whether you're trying to buy or sell. And I want to talk about that for a second. If you're trying to sell some designer jewelry, most of those items are made out of sterling silver, and they're accented with gold or maybe some other metals. And if you take those somewhere else, they're going to pay you the melt value of that sterling silver, which isn't a whole lot of money. You bring those to Mobile Bay Coins, you're going to get the designer jewelry price for those items, not the scrap metal price. And at the same time, if you're trying to buy one of those for a girlfriend or your mom or somebody in your family, you go to the mall and you see what the prices are for those things brand new, you're going to pay about 1/5 of the actual price if you come to Mobile Bay Coins.
Okay, so Mobile Bay Coins and high-end designer jewelry go together.
Very, very well, and save you a ton of money.
Mobile Bay Coins, 2204 Government Street, Midtown Mobile. Look for them on Facebook. Hey, this is Uncle Henry. I want to tell you about a dentist I found in Mobile named H. Radcliffe Brown Jr. When I moved back to town, I asked people if they could recommend a dentist, and they recommended Radcliffe Brown. I had a cracked tooth. I needed a crown on it. I went to see Dr. Brown at his office, 1501 University Boulevard, and he had just remodeled with state-of-the-art technology. So he was able to make the crown for me while I waited. It was a same-day crown, no temporary crown, and it fit perfectly. Dr. Brown has a family-friendly practice. He offers a wide range of services, including cleanings, whitening, cosmetic bonding, the same-day crowns I just told you about, veneers, bridges, dentures, partials. He restores implants. If you're a new patient, you can get a new patient appointment within just a few days. Remember the name. It's H. Radcliffe Brown Jr. Call him at 251-342-5636. While his website is under construction, you can look for him on Facebook. Look for H. Radcliffe Brown Jr. Dentist on Facebook.
Hey there, this is Dr. Vanessa Marie Perry, the host of the Love Right Unplugged podcast on iHeartRadio, where we interview the top relationship experts, coaches, matchmakers, therapists, and couples. The podcast provides advice, tips, and inspiration to singles and couples on how to develop and maintain a healthy relationship. Check us out weekly. Search for Love Right Unplugged on iHeartRadio.
Mobile fire units en route to a vehicle fire that's popped up on Grelot and Leroy Stevens. Also a crash in Baldwin County on County Road 32 east of County Road 9. And in Sims, Illinois Street is closed between Church and Moffett. That's been the case since yesterday after a water main break and resulting road closure. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is brought to you by the T.J. Martell Foundation.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Church, asking you to join me in the fight against leukemia, cancer, and AIDS through the T.J. Martell Foundation. Your support helps facilitate cutting-edge research that will lead to more effective treatments and save more lives. Visit tjmartell.org to learn about music's promise for a cure.
Now, Gulf Coast weather from Local 15.
Good Tuesday to you, everybody. It's going to be a sticky and stormy day along the Gulf Coast. Our coverage will be at about 50%. Our afternoon high will reach 90. When we tack on the humidity, it's going to feel like we're in the upper 90s. So take it easy. Stay well hydrated. Check on those outdoor pets. Overnight lows will drop into the 70s. And Wednesday through Friday, we'll have a 40% chance of wet weather. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News in this iHeartRadio station.
You're home for Rush every weekday at 11. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show. Here with Angelo, Mobile Bay Coins, and Darwin. I was just getting ready to text Darwin, but here he is, Darwin of Local 15. Hey. Darwin, good morning, Darwin.
Good to hear from you, Uncle Henry. I was looking so forward with anticipation to our visit that I did not need a text.
Well, and I hope I'm not giving too much away here, but when I went to my phone to find your number, I found our previous texts, and one of the last thing that Darwin texted to me was an animation of a dog where the dog is spinning in a circle, and I was so distracted by that I had trouble getting my text off to you. Now, but on a very serious note, there are a couple of really serious stories I wanted to ask you about.
Sure.
You told us yesterday in the 8 o'clock hour that you were going to have some reality check story, that you were going to run this on your show today about a local person that was scammed. Can you give us some more details on how this person was scammed?
Yeah, this is a local pastor. He's Pastor Charles Morley. He's a retired minister who still has a little congregation over in Fairhope. But he was called a while back, and the person on his phone knew about his late wife. They knew where he used to live. They said that his wife and the pastor had been called in to do grand jury work at a federal level, but they hadn't responded. And so now they were going to be arrested if they didn't pay a fine. And this ordeal turned into a 6-hour-long conversation, which he was not permitted to hang up, required him to go all the way from Fairhope across the bay to 4 different businesses to buy green dot money packs, and that's how they got the money out of him. And he had like $3,000 saved up to go with his son and grandson to Ireland, which is where he's from. And now that dream is gone because his money's gone. And he just said, I've got to let other people know how this happened in great detail so they will spot it if it's happening to them. And he did that with us. And if you missed it this morning, we'll have it on our website, local15tv.com, in just a few minutes, and you'll be able to watch it.
That's of course, you hate to hear somebody being taken advantage like that. But it also sounds like the act of the scam was so much hard work, you wonder why the scammer doesn't get a legitimate job.
Get a job, yeah. Well, and here's the thing that really, he really wanted to stress this. He said they knew local streets, they knew local accents, they knew where businesses were, they knew everything that made him feel like, yes, indeed, they were the police officer they said they were. He said it was so well done that it must have been somebody local because they knew every little thing about him. I said, well, most of this stuff could be found online. But he said they even knew local accents. They knew local streets. The Bayway, when you go across the Bayway, it'll be backed up, so be careful. They were very good. They did their job. And but you're right, they spent a lot of time and effort. But, hey, they spent 5 hours on the phone and got $3,000. So that's a pretty good return for your investment.
That is. Well,
if you don't mind all the baggage goes along with being a dishonest creep.
Right. Well, we're going to look for that story on your website and hear what the man had to say about it. What else are you covering today?
Well, one thing that's really kind of gotten interesting, this whole flesh-eating bacteria thing. We've had a couple cases of it contracted through open sores in water. Well, now we find out that we've had 2 cases locally from eating raw oysters, so that's something to keep in mind if you have an immune problem, immune deficiency. You don't want to be eating raw oysters right now because it could make you sick. This plane crash, Marine Corps plane up in rural Mississippi, just north of Jackson, about 85 miles north of Jackson, has left 16 people dead. We don't have their identities, but we assume they're military. And that's a sad story this morning. And also, we had a really nice story that had all of us talking even after the newscast was over. There was a father that recently traveled by bicycle across country. He stopped in Orange Beach. His daughter passed away, but he donated her organs. And he's taking this bike ride, sold all of his possessions to take a bike ride across the country to encourage people to donate their organs. Well, he gets to Louisiana, a town in Louisiana. I can't remember which one. I think it was Baton Rouge, but I'm not sure. It just said Louisiana on the script. He got to listen to his daughter's heart beating in the chest of a young man who received it.
Wow.
Very emotional sound from this man, comments. And when it was over, we were just, even for us, we see a lot of stuff on our morning show, some of it good, some of it bad. But that one just about brought us to tears. It was such a beautiful moment that he shared with us and just reminded us about how precious life was. So that was a really good morning on the morning show this morning. Really good story, and we wanted to share that with you.
Very good. Well, Darwin, we're just about out of time here. Thanks for checking in.
Oh, I love it. You know, you and I both, we love to talk.
That's true. That's true. And we'll do that again tomorrow.
All right. We'll chat then.
There he goes, Darwin. Thank you, Darwin. Darwin of Local 15 TV. That would be an amazing thing. I'm still, you and I both come from a time where the idea of a heart transplant is just an astonishing thing.
It really is.
And the idea that you would be able to hear your child's heart beating in someone else's body, I can imagine that would be amazing.
Yeah, very moving experience. I can't even fathom.
We're almost out of time here in this hour of the show. So coming up, much more show with Angelo, and then we'll be at Mobile Bay Coins from 9 until 10, live on location for a live Ask the Expert, where if you show up, you can actually look at some of the things we're talking about. You went to Orlando and you brought back some ancient coins.
I did. Brought back some ancient coins, restocked on a bunch of silver. Actually have some nice jewelry coming in from our diamond buyer who was set up next to us. We had a great conversation. He's sending us some more sterling silver jewelry and some other pieces. So lots of jewelry to look at, lots of coins to look at. Those ancient coins to me are very interesting. Lots of silver bullion available, those Morgan dollars that you showed a picture of earlier. So yeah, lots of things to come by and check out at the shop, and we'll be there from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so that is coming up here on News Radio 710 WNTM. We have news from Fox and news from Darwin next on The Uncle Henry Show. Thank you for listening to The Uncle Henry Show.